So the end of this Monster Association arc continues to push our S-Class heroes further and further into the ground, and this latest chapter was no exception. If you have been with the channel for some time now, then you would know that this is our very first video covering One Punch Man. This is a series we certainly enjoy and intend to continue providing content for, so if that is something that you would like to see more of, be sure to subscribe to Plot Armor with notifications on to never miss a thing. With the previous chapter, we began with a showdown between Silver Fang and the monstrous Garo. Silver Fang was giving this fight his all, as Garo would match him, replicating his techniques at a mere glance, this being an insane blow-for-blow struggle that seems to have only just begun. Elsewhere, a now acidically melted President Ugly would target Atomic Samurai and Nichiren of the Council of Swordsmen. And in order to save Atomic Samurai and his disciples, all of the elders of the council would sacrifice themselves and be utterly melted by this hideous fiend, then being slurped up and consumed by him like a massive fly. At this point, only Nichiren's upper body remained, with the rest having been melted. And with the little bit of remaining strength he had, he would bring forth a blade of the very same name, Nichiren, the Sun Blade, and provided it to Atomic Samurai, seeing as his own sword had just been dissolved and he was all that was left of the order. His former teacher then additionally telling him to find the Gachirin, the Moon Blade, as he wanted to wield them both would come to possess unrivaled strength as a swordsman, as his final words would then be to Spring Mustachio, recognizing him to now be a proper master. From here, President Ugly and Black Spermatozoon would begin to argue amongst themselves, and boy do I hate these names. But yeah, with Ugly now threatening to keep them all as an eternal snack, the anger of Spermatozoon would reach its boiling point as they would additionally survey the battle. They were beginning to overwhelm GENOS and Tornado, and Darkshine was a joke at this point. And so with the heroes so spread out and weakened, they decided to combine together, transforming into a new, more powerful entity, one that was unimpeded by the acidic spew of Ugly and began to further brutalize him. This was the rise of Golden Spermatozoon. And with this latest chapter, we have the furtherance of this, as Ugly, who is now reeling from this attack, would furthermore be hit by a barrage of energy blasts from Homeless Emperor. He'd finally decided to re-enter the fray, and apparently he had mostly done so because he could not bear to watch the further desecration of his intended scenario, definitely having a god complex at this point. But Ugly would spit out at him, telling him to stay out of the fight, but this would be guarded against easily as he would continue this barrage. And clearly, Ugly is at the bottom of these remaining monstrous forces, at least in regards to straight up power or danger potential. That being said, he is still pretty damn durable to have taken such attacks directly, but I'd like to think that Golden Spermatozoon has him beaten in that department as well. And listen, Homeless Emperor would just keep going on and on until those defenses were not looking so hot. It is truly impressive how Ugly's managed to survive through all of this. But in now knowing himself to be thoroughly outmatched, he would begin to crawl away in shame, telling them that he was letting them off easy for now, although Gold had no intentions of letting him live to see another day. But Homeless Emperor would express the value of keeping him alive, as he would make for a pretty amusing slave, a prospect that Gold would not oppose, as he would instead go on to set his sights on the remaining heroes, in this case Darkshine, who after being hit by Ugly's acid was over here just squealing like a pig in pain. The shine of his muscles was going away, and so he simply could not cope with this reality. And oh, how far this man has fallen, what a shame. Just when we thought that he might just get back up again, we have a moment like this. And with Golden now above him, the depths of his fear would only become that much deeper, as the muscularity of Gold was just impeccable. Darkshine was shaking and sweating in panic, shaking his head to the possibility of such muscles being superior to his own, as Gold would now deliver a major punch to him. This single punch would send Darkshine a great distance away, as he would hurtle and tumble, landing just beside his comrades in this horribly contorted state. And this man might as well just pack it up at this point, because this hero business is clearly not made for him. He is just far too weak. And I say that both physically and mentally at this point. Meanwhile, Ugly was walking off elsewhere, cursing the names of his former comrades. However, this feeling of inferiority they had provided to him only stood to make his digestive juices that much stronger apparently. But in order to make use of this, he would need to consume a good meal. And his intended target would be that of Silverfang, which is sure to be an interesting situation considering he is fighting Garo right now. I mean, they might actually just swat this man away like a literal fly. But as he went elsewhere, the black spermatozoons that still remained knew that Ugly needed to consume, so they intended to box him in and limit his consumption. But just then, Metal Bat would appear. He was looking for the hero hunter, but instead of helping him out, they would all punch him simultaneously, as he would in turn obliterate them all with his bat, killing them before they could be of any use. And as it turns out, he and King had split up prior to this, much to King's dismay. But again, getting back to Atomic Samurai and the others, Homeless Emperor would begin his extreme carpet bombing as energy blasts would begin to rain downwards and be met by their defensive swings. They were completely on defense at this point and things were looking bad because it doesn't seem like Homeless Emperor is going to need to let up anytime soon. But then there was also the unfortunate scene of GENOS and Tornado being taken advantage of by the unending numbers of Spermatozoon. Genos' arm had been pulled off, and although they can continue to fight on their own, you have to remember that both of these heroes had already expended the utmost of their strength already. They are running on E, and things are not looking good. I mean, if she was in tip-top shape, Tornado could probably take them all out by her lonesome, but she is far from that right now. And during all this, Child Emperor was in the process of sending a status report. The initial rescue mission was a success, but the secondary cleanup mission was, as we can now see, proving itself to be more troublesome. Tornado had successfully destroyed the enemy base and leadership, but the surviving monsters were overwhelming to the already exhausted S-class heroes. Child Emperor himself having only narrowly survived Homeless Emperor's onslaught thanks to the sacrifice of his precious underdog man. Now the person he was texting was Metal Knight, or as he knows him, Dr. Beaufoy. And he would tell the doctor that with the powerful weapons at his disposal, if he does not provide aid to the Hero Association in this moment of crisis, he may stand to jeopardize his current position, and so he would call on him to help. And as we can see here from their previous messages, they have not communicated in a whole year. And even when they did, it was over mundane things like snacks and such. And at this point, Child Emperor fully expected to perish here, as he only had about 10 minutes of oxygen left. In his final moments, he would nominate Zombie Man's extraction to be prioritized, as he was likely to be the next psychological pillar of the Hero Association. And this was a really interesting point. The words of Zombie Man previously got Child Emperor going, so I can understand where he is coming from with this. And the S-class heroes tend to bicker a lot, so yeah, they're gonna need something like that. With everyone else either being unreliable or downright crazy, I would agree that Zombie Man would make for a great leader. And with this, Child Emperor would conclude his message by denoting himself to have been the Doctor's former assistant and then send it. And for the Doctor to have been the master of a genius like Child Emperor just goes to show just how formidable he really is. And right now, Metal Knight is already feared for such power and the possibility of him going rogue, so if he really does not provide any support here, that whole world domination prospect will surely have a whole lot more weight behind it. But as Child Emperor held his breath to conserve it, Prisoner would break through the wall with his face, and Child Emperor in his sudden panic and horror would punch him right in the face. So with that, he was saved. But unfortunately, we cannot say that about everyone, as elsewhere, GENOS and Tornado were an absolute wreck. This is the sort of thing that at this point we are used to seeing with GENOS, but for Tornado to be like this too is just horrible. All of Genos' limbs had at this point been ripped apart and destroyed, as with his exposed circuitry all over, he would drag the now unconscious and profusely bleeding body of Tornado with his teeth, attempting to slink away from the crowd of deadly monsters surrounding them. This was a really bad situation. But just then, a sound would be heard that caught them all off guard. And this sound, which would have them all turn around in unison, was none other than the King engine revving up as he overlooked them all, and that was the chapter. Oh goodness, was this a brutal chapter for our heroes. With that last bit, for King to show up as their savior, you already know that some crazy shenanigans are about to ensue. And in most cases, when King arrives, so too does Saitama, with King in the end taking credit for his incredible feats. And right now, reinforcements are on the way in the form of Flashy Flash, Saitama, and Metal Bat, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how this is all going to play out. And if Saitama does show up, it will likely be in a way that cannot be recognized by others as per usual, and right now that is pretty much to me the perfect time. Tornado is knocked out, so she won't be able to tell, and sure, these spermatozoons are a widespread factor, but they are the monster to be destroyed here, and if dealt with swiftly enough, shouldn't be an issue considering this is the only group that they are actively dealing with, as Homeless Emperor has all the others preoccupied. All in all, as per usual, this was a great chapter of One Punch Man, and again, if you did enjoy it and our subsequent coverage of it, make sure you are subscribed to Plot Armor because there is plenty more where that came from. And if you would like to continue discussion, leave us your thoughts in the comments or hit us up over on Twitter and Instagram at PlotArmorYT, because now, when it comes to bringing you some of the best One Punch Man content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I am Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.